seat, sip some wisdom, and stay a while. This is the Prosperity Lounge, where growth gets personal. Step inside. We're breaking chains.
You can just say Sam.
Perfect. Good evening, everybody. Oh man, my mic. There we go. Always figuring stuff out on the fly. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome back to the Prosperity Lounge. We're getting ready to go live shortly in about 2 minutes on the radio here. A little behind the scenes as always. I'm with Sam or Samantha. Which would you prefer?
Sam is great.
Sam. Perfect. Sam Spoto from Tell Me About Your Dog podcast. I'm so excited for this. This is going to be a lot of fun. Let me see if I'm listening. Ooh, I sound good. Okay, finally. That's good. Let me bring her in and say hello, and then we'll pop her out. There we are.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited because, I'm going to tease a few things tonight, but we're right after this. We're recording a podcast for you too.
We are.
This is going to be great. So I'm excited.
I'm excited as well.
Yes. So you're going to hear some stuff here that I'm going to tease about you because you're going to have to watch her podcast episode with me to hear the rest of the story on a lot of things.
We're going to go full circle.
Absolutely. Okay. So good. The sound is good. Quality is good. I'm playing with my little mixer here. And I'm getting ready to record. I should have started recording. Perfect. Okay. So we are about a minute away from being live. 1 minute. Got the 1 minute from Vance.
1 minute.
Absolutely. This is going to be fun. Okay. So thank you guys for being here in the chat. If you got any questions about pets, any fun moments or any cool stories, feel free to put it in there. We'll get to it. And see you in about a minute or so. All right. One last song before we go. Got to squeeze it in. So I just realized you were episode 27.
I'm 27.
27.
Wow.
I know. It's crazy. Didn't think it was that many.
It's exciting.
It is. Yeah. Quarter. All right, here we go, guys. Welcome to the Prosperity Lounge, where hope meets freedom and growth gets personal. I'm your host, Joey Ruffalo, best-selling author, financial coach, and business growth strategist. When was the last time your dog taught you something about life, or maybe even about money? Tonight, we're going beyond the leash to find lessons hidden in loyalty, love, and preparation. Here in the lounge, we talk about money, mindset, and meaning, and how to build a life that's rich in every sense of the word. Now, before I dive in, I've got some exciting announcements for our listeners. Starting this week, actually 2 days ago, you can catch the new Prosperity Lounge episodes every Wednesday night at 6 Eastern on YouTube. Now, they're not live like we're doing here. They're pre-recorded, but it's a live premiere. We get into the chat. We have some fun. We see who's number one on the leaderboard. It's a race every week to see who's number one. And it's always the same couple people always fighting it out. So it's a lot of fun. The replays are going to be available on all your podcast networks, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, everywhere you can find it. If you're not sure exactly where to find it, you can visit the podcast webpage. It's www.theprosperitylounge.com/show. theprosperitylounge.com/show. You can find links to every episode on there, links to your favorite podcast networks on there. And if you get into there on Spotify and Apple and all those places and you listen, feel free to give me a rating, give me a thumbs up, give me a follow, 5 stars. It really helps the show. It also helps people see, hey, this guy's doing a good job and we might want to sponsor him. So that's what we're looking for next, guys. So if you know anybody that wants to be connected with the Prosperity Lounge, shoot us an email at joey@jrfinancialcoaching.com. joey@jrfinancialcoaching.com. Put Prosperity Partner in the subject line. We're building out our new Prosperity Partners directory, and we want you to be a part of it. So there you go. And again, kick things off on that first premiere episode. We had Ambassador Fitz Haney, former ambassador to Costa Rica, sharing lessons on leadership, liberty, and pursuit of purpose. So you don't want to miss that. It was a great conversation. He's a Tennessee native as well, guys. So if you're local and you want to hear a guy that's done good, check him out. All right. So now tonight we're going beyond the leash. I'm excited for this one because many people don't know, for about 20 years or so, and I'm aging myself when I say that because I'm only 24. Wink, wink. My wife and I ran a pet sitting and dog walking company for about 20 years or so. So I'm excited to talk about pets, dogs, cats, furry friends, four-legged horses, donkey, whatever. We've seen it all. Winged ones, even iguanas, man. Those things, man, those talons, they hurt. And what they teach us about planning, purpose, and even prosperity. So joining me tonight is Sam Spoto, licensed veterinary nurse, accredited claims adjuster. We'll talk more about that. And host of Tell Me About Your Dog podcast. And you can find that on Spotify. You can find that on Instagram. And you can find it on YouTube. And I'm going to put some links up here. So if you're watching the show, you're going to get a special thing here. I'm going to throw it up. It's a QR code on the screen. If you go to that QR code, you can follow the show on YouTube. And I'm going to leave that up for a little bit for everybody. But I'm going to put all the notes and all the links in the show description. So if you're watching it, you can check it later. And if you're listening to it, you can always look at the descriptions later and have some fun checking out our stuff. All right. And I do have to mention before we get started, we have 2 new sponsors to the show, and I do have to mention them off the top here. We have LaPera Insurance, Joe LaPera. Give him a call at 865-252-0480, 865-252-0480, or email JLAPERA, JLaPera, at farmersagent.com. Use promo code JRRadio, and the first 10 quotes this month get a free gift card. Can't beat it. Give them a call. Use JR Radio. You click on the link on the screen here if you're watching. Get a free quote, get a free gift card. And second sponsor is Bello Business Solutions. Bello Business Solutions. The QR code's on the screen. BelloBusinessSolutions.com. Mention Make Business Make Sense for a free consultation today. It's Bello Business Solutions. Make business make sense for a free consultation. Thank you both. All right. Now I have all that's out of the way. Let me ask again to everybody. So we kind of reset. It's like, when was the last time your dog taught you something about life or even about money? Maybe it was their next vet visit. Maybe it was something unexpected. If you ever faced that moment of how am I going to pay for this episode's for you. So let's pull up a chair and welcome Samantha to the lounge. There you are, Samantha. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Joey. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for welcome. Thank you for being here. Thanks for pulling up a chair in the lounge. Let's start a little bit about your story. You are a licensed veterinary nurse. So right off the bat, can you explain to me the different, I wrote this down for later, but I kind of want to get this going here. Difference between the different roles that are a part of a vet's office or a pet's life. I've seen vet techs, I've seen veterinarians and vet nurses. Is it very similar to like the medical field where there's, different stages and different occupations?
Exactly. It's exactly that. And most of it just goes based on education. So we have our support staff, so our receptionists, our client care specialists, people who answer the phones, people who help with scheduling. They are the front desk workers and really the backbone of the team. We also have our vet assistants who are on the job trained. They don't have any college formal training or education, but they are on the job trained to help with the licensed technicians and doctors. And there are licensed, credentialed, and registered technicians, depending on what state you're in. So there is a bill trying to be passed to get that to be one accreditation instead of 3 different ones. That's currently what a lot of the country is fighting for, especially in Florida. So it's a CVT, LVT, or RVT, depending on the state you're in. And then, of course, we have our veterinarians, our DVMs.
Okay. And I know in the medical field, in some areas, and I don't know if this is trending this way, maybe in the vet field, where you can go just see your nurse practitioner and talk to them, and you don't necessarily have to see a doctor to get prescribed medication or get treatments. Do you ever see anything like that happen in the veterinary field? Or vets just too, like, they're not going to give up any of their power?
We do. It depends on the hospital. A
Okay.
lot of doctors, are busy. They see appointments all day. They do surgery. They have phone calls to make and medical records to write. So wherever the credentialed veterinary technicians help out, we can and we will. So whether that's seeing smaller appointments, things that are anal gland expressions, nail trims, rechecks from surgery, taking stitches out, smaller things where the doctor doesn't need to step in. A lot of wound care, bandage changes in the ER world, things like that, where it's like a progression of an ongoing treatment.
Okay, makes sense. So how did you get started in the veterinary world? Were you always a pet lover?
Yeah, I was. I always knew I wanted to work with animals. I always said I didn't have a backup career.
Okay.
It
Do
was
or
always
die, that's it.
animals. So I grew up around pets. We always had multiple pets growing up. I always loved taking care of pets. As soon as I was able to start volunteering in a vet hospital or a vet setting somewhere, I was jumping in, all hands on deck. I was cleaning cat cages with my dad at one of the local pet stores at about 10 years old. We would every Saturday morning mask up and clean cages just to get our hands, in with the animals. And then I started working for a small animal hospital at about 14, 15 years old and was an assistant for a long time until I started school. And while I was in school getting my undergrad, I was working full time as an ER and critical care nurse.
That's actually pretty amazing, because one of the things we like to do on the show is tell people who have fun careers like yourself ways to kind of cut down on any extra stuff they need to do in order to get there faster. And one of the things you just said kind of stood out to me was you were volunteering you always know you wanted to work with pets, and you started working and volunteering at shelters and then at the hospitals and then in the offices and working in that environment to really find out if it's something you really want to do.
Exactly.
And then you loved it and you're like, okay, I'm going to pursue it now. And you're not wasting time in college taking courses trying to figure stuff out. You knew exactly what you want to do. That's actually a good tip for everybody out there. If you find something that you want to do when you're in high school or younger, try to reach out to somebody that's already doing it and see if you can shadow them. I remember one time in high school, we got an opportunity to shadow career day kind of thing. And I went to do, I think it was a chiropractor. And I was like, oh, that might be fun. And I went to the office today and I was bored. I was like, no, that's it. I don't want to do that. I wanted to go to the law firm, but somebody else already took it. So I guess I got stuck with the chiropractor. And I was like, I definitely don't want to do that for a job. So, but that's interesting that you thought that. So you kind of just were there in that space and you're like, yep, this is it. I always want to work with animals. It was either this or the circus.
Definitely. And I agree. It is important to immediately dive in if you think you have a career that you're interested in pursuing, because there are a lot of people who have a misconception about the field that we're just playing with puppies all day. It's very, light work and it's fun, and play is very rewarding. And it is very rewarding, but it's not playing with puppies and kittens all day. That's for sure.
No.
And unfortunately, many of the animals that I see in the hospital don't want to be there. So I'm not exactly the person that they wanted to see that day.
Sure. But it also gives you, like you said, perspective, and it gives you experience, which, putting that on a resume when you're coming out looking for a job afterwards is probably highly invaluable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Was there a moment that first made you realize, this is kind of a deep question, I apologize right off the bat, that animals could teach us so much about people?
I think immediately when I started seeing the human animal bond, that was,
yes.
I don't want to say the eureka moment for me, but it was a very important moment to me because I got to start to see how important it was to have a pet in the house. I always assumed everyone had a pet growing up because we always had cats and dogs, but there were people I learned who didn't have pets growing up, and then they get a pet when they're a little bit older. They develop this bond with their pet, and their pet becomes almost a child to them. Mm-hmm. And in some instances where people don't have children, their dog or cat is their child. But the bond between an owner and their animal is not just, I'm the owner and you're the dog and you listen to me. It's so much deeper than that. And as soon as I started seeing patients for routine appointments and seeing how that bond built, it was such an incredible journey to see. And now that I've been in the field for so long, going on 14 years, there are pets that I've seen as small puppies who are now in their geriatric years. And just to see their story over time and their bond with their owner and how much we bond with them as staff has such an impact on our lives.
I'm sure there's certain ones when you see the chart come up that you're really excited to see.
Oh, of course. We have our favorites, that's for sure.
And I'm sure this is always something that's kind of made me chuckle a bit when those things come online. You see these little memes and reels and stuff of dogs and owners that look alike.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure you've seen that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Vance kind of looks like Tiny a little bit. Vance is our engineer, by the way. He does not want to be on camera right now. He's giving me a look. So you've taken your love of pets and your love of dogs in particular and decided to start a podcast.
I did.
Tell me about your dog. I love that name.
Thank you. So Tell Me About Your Dog was a concept that I came up with about a year ago. It was just a thought in my head for a long time. And then I was having dinner with a vet friend of mine and was just talking to her about her own dog, who unfortunately had just passed away a couple months prior. And we were just talking about what an awesome dog she was and how there will never be another dog like Chai. And we were talking about stories about when we worked at the ER together and she used to come into the hospital with us. We talked about how she was great with the clients and how she would go up to people and kids and interact with them. So she just had so many great stories behind her. And I kind of said to her, why isn't this a platform of some sort where we can honor these dogs that have these amazing stories and these amazing journeys that they take alongside of us? Because you think of a dog that you get in your, let's say, early 20s, they're with you through everything. They're with you through college. They're with you through starting families, moving, big life changes, passing of relatives and friends in some situations. So they're really there for you through a lot of your life. And having a dog is so important to have that emotional support. So the show Tell Me About Your Dog started to come into my head. And I always loved to meet dogs in the wild and say to the owner, hey, tell me about your dog. I want to know their story. I want to learn about them. And my friend said, I think that's a great idea. Let's give it a shot. And we recorded a few episodes together. I recorded a few episodes solo, had some more guests come on, and it launched about 4 months ago. And it's been a really incredible journey so far.
I love the concept because, like you said, people are so willing to talk about their pets.
Oh, of course. Everyone has a dog story. Everyone has that one dog story too.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too, even if you see people out and about and they kind of they have their dog, maybe they're just kind of look miserable. They just kind of look like they're having a bad day. If you ask them about their dog, they will tell you everything about their dog and you'll brighten their day up for sure. So I love that. Actually, it's funny because I had a conversation with a therapist friend of mine and he was just like spitballing ideas. And one of the things he said was, crap my therapist says. Or
I love that.
Stuff my therapist told me or something. It's one of those things. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I love this. I love your story, and I love the guests you've had on. You've had on some great people, especially your last guest. He was talking about. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Tell Me About Your Dog on YouTube, and you can listen to it everywhere else. But he was talking about the different technologies now to use to track lost dogs and lost pets.
Correct. Yeah, Trey Larson. Yeah. He's in the Tampa Bay area in Florida, but he came up with this idea to use a thermal drone to help locate lost pets.
I love that.
And same thing. He just came up with the concept because he had a hobby of drones and always loved them. And he started to recognize that you can pick up the heat levels inside of a dog and locate them if they've gone missing. So he has been able to find dogs, cats, horses, any pet that's been missing. And I think he says his personal record was 1 minute and 20 seconds.
No kidding. That's crazy.
Because he can scan such a vast area with the drone as soon as it's up in the sky in less than 30 seconds.
Now, we could have used him here in Tennessee a few months ago when Ed the zebra went missing. That probably was. I don't know if that made the story down by you guys. We had a zebra missing. Yeah, we could have used you. We could have used him for that. So you've been around dogs. You've heard a lot of dog stories. We'll say you've heard them all, but
I say that, but then I hear something different.
Right. What are some themes that always seem to appear in these stories that you're hearing about people and their pets?
I think the biggest consistent theme is my dog has always been there for me when I've needed them, especially when I've needed them to be an emotional support. Even if they're not an official emotional support animal, dogs know when our moods change. They know when we are happy, sad, a little bit on the anxious side, a little bit on the depressed side. They know when we're frustrated. They know when we're irritated. They can pick up on us a lot better than we can pick up on them. So I
Sure.
think the consistent story that I hear is I've had this big life change happen, and I don't know how I would have gotten through it if I didn't have my dog next to me.
That actually brings up my next question perfectly here. Great transition. You seem like you've done this before. I want to talk about pets and how they influence their owner's mental and emotional well-being. And you've seen, like you're saying, there is like a calming influence. It's the reason why they have emotional support animals. There's a reason why pets go into hospitals when patients are, on the sick floor. They always bring the dogs in the pet or the miniature horses now that go in. Is there, in your experience in that field, and I don't know if you've done any research or been privy to that. How do you see pets influencing that well-being and mental emotional support?
Pets bring happiness no matter what situation we are in. I challenge anyone that is having no matter how bad of a day to see a dog wagging its tail and not smile at them, because dogs just want to make us happy.
Very true.
They don't hold on to anger. They have no concept of feeling any kind of like jealousy or guilt. They don't have those kinds of emotions. They have emotions that aim to make people happy.
That's true. I will say that Tiny, the station dog that's here with Vance and Patty, every week we see Tiny. Every week Tiny growls at me, and every week Tiny growls and gives me a kiss. And we're best friends by the end of the show. And then next week, right back like she doesn't know me. So I'm doing something right and wrong at the same time. But on your show, tell me about your dog. Is there a story from the show that changed maybe how you see people or prosperity?
In a more positive way or in a more negative way? So I have a little bit of both.
Let's start with positive first, and then we'll go with negative.
Yeah. Okay. So a positive one, going back to the emotional, companionship of dogs. A really close friend of mine worked in the clinic with me for a long time, and then she ended up moving. Her dog was a stray that came into our clinic and became kind of a hospital dog. She was loved by everybody. She had a ton of medical issues, but we got her taken care of. She ended up adopting her because they developed a really good bond, and she went through a lot of horrible up and down life changes in a very short time. And a lot of us, and I think people in general, don't always know how to be a support to somebody, especially when they are distanced. She had moved states away. So of course everyone wanted to be a support to her and reach out. And she just kept telling me, I have Lucy. She's here and she's my biggest supporter. And no matter what she went through, every day she said she would come home and just snuggle with her, and she didn't have to talk. She could just cry. She could do whatever, she had to do. And Lucy was there for her. And everyone at the hospital knew Lucy so well because she was with us for so long. So we all had this understanding of their bond. And it's such a beautiful story that she has with Lucy. And we actually have a podcast episode about it. And
love that.
Go check it out because it's a really great episode and it's very heartwarming.
I love that. Now that was positive. So flip side's coming, everybody. What's a negative you've heard?
I've definitely heard some negative stories that unfortunately have been people who have not been so nice to animals.
Yeah.
So yeah. I had a guest come on and she told me her dog, Strawberry story. And unfortunately the people were very cruel and let the dog outside and basically left her to die. And she was so malnourished and feral and afraid of everybody that it took her months and months and months of trying to earn her trust to get her to be comfortable around her family. And today she's a great dog. You walk into the house, after 2 minutes, she's your best friend. But a year ago, they said she wouldn't even come near the house.
Oh man.
So it's terrible to hear some of these stories of what dogs go through, especially in abuse situations and hoarding situations, which I've seen a lot of, unfortunately. But I will say dogs are so forgiving. They are the most forgiving creature on the planet. Cats,
not so much.
Cats will hold a little bit of a grudge.
A little bit of a grudge. They're a little bit divas. We had a cat for 18 years that was very rule the roost, as they say. But it's funny you mentioned that because we, one of the one of our stories when we were pet sitting was there was a long-term need for a client. They were indisposed for quite a while, and they had a cat in their house, and they needed care pretty much daily and it was ongoing for a really long time. And we had taken over from somebody else who could just no longer do it. And the owner's parents told us, you're never going to see the cat. Cat's skittish, very scared, hide under a bed. You never see it. So we'd come and put the food down, kind of try to find where they were just to make sure they're okay. We saw the food being eaten. So we're like, okay, they must be fine. But they're so buried in stuff, we couldn't see it, like just hiding. So one day I decided I'm going to lay down. I found him. I heard her under the bed, and I decided to lay down on the floor and just lay kind of so she can see me, and put my hand under the bed and just left it there for about 30 minutes. And I did that daily for like about a week. And about 7 or 10 days later, she came up and like sniffed my hand finally. By the next week, probably within another 7 or so days, she's sitting on my lap. And I got pictures of her on my lap. It's kind of, oh my God, I didn't think we'd see her. But it's giving that attention in that time, like you're talking about.
You learned her language.
Yeah, you learn the language. And those, some cats I went up to, we had one where we walked in a door, and I'm teasing episodes, guys. We're going to talk about this later on her podcast. We walked in a door, and the cat immediately ran to the front door, claws out, hissing as loud as it could. And we ran into a bathroom and shut the door behind us, and we were trapped in a bathroom for about an hour and a half trying to figure out how we're going to escape this cat. It was so again, there's no way I was going to put my hand down and go, here, I'm here, smell me, I'm a good guy.
No, we actually have
happened.
We have a little saying in the vet world that when cats are like that, putting your hand in the carrier is kind of like putting your hand in a garbage disposal.
No way. I mean, if you look at my arms and legs, I got scars still 20 years later from, I could tell you who did what, when, and where. That's awesome. All right, so let's move on a little bit here. We talk a little bit about budgeting all the time on the show, and there's one thing that really makes it into a financial plan, and that is pet care. Little known fact here, like I said earlier in the show, for quite a number of years, my wife and I owned and operated a pet sitting business, dog walking business, took care of all animal shapes and sizes. So again, we're going to be talking about this as a teaser, everybody. Teaser, talking about this in depth on on an upcoming episode of your show. Tell Me About Your Dog, found everywhere on Spotify, Instagram, and YouTube. Anywhere else?
Just those for now.
Oh, perfect. Oh, for now. We're talking about expansion already. Great. So you're going to have to subscribe and tune into our show so you can hear what I'm going to say a little bit more of this. But we've just seen how finances play a role in pets' care, from the type of food they eat all the way down to how much they exercise up to the level of companionship. So I want to focus a little bit on the health side of things here, like the vet side. And then coming up, we'll talk a little bit about monthly financial planning for your pet. But what are some of the biggest financial surprises that pet owners face when they are going to the vet or talking about their pet's health?
Yeah. A big one is unexpected expenses. That is, of course, the most unexpected, unplanned for expense you can have. And unfortunately, veterinary costs have gone up drastically over the last few years.
Just like
as
everything.
with everything in the economy has. So unfortunately, we've had people come into the ER on just a Tuesday night at 1 a.m. Something happened. Their dog was in a fight. Their dog ingested something they weren't supposed to. Their dog has been vomiting and can't stop. And those visits can get very costly very quickly because overnight care and diagnostics can add up quickly. And once you have a diagnostic plan, then you have to do the treatments, which can be additional costs. And then you have go-home medications. You have follow-up care. If it's something that's chronic like diabetes or arthritis, you have to go home with chronic medication. Oh, yeah. So these are things that are not only an unexpected visit and a big bill that comes with that visit, but you also, in most cases, have some kind of ongoing aftercare that you have to be conscious of.
Don't I know that? Like we came out with our cat. She's 18. She was 18. She made the trip with us in the car. We drove out for a week. Slept most of the time, which was fantastic. We get here, we're here for about a year or so, and then she just got sick all of a sudden. Was throwing up fluid and didn't know what it was. It was the middle of the night again. So we took her to the emergency vet, and they gave her oxygen for the night and things like that. And they sent her home with some stuff, and she seemed okay. And then about a month or two later, she started doing it again, and it was a constant, probably 2 or 3 weeks in and out of the emergency vet.
Sounds like some kind of heart or lung issue.
It was I can't remember. It was like a blockage, a hernia, some type of hernia blockage in her esophagus.
Oh, esophageal hernia.
Yeah, that's it. I knew you'd know. And they didn't diagnose it until, after she passed with her necropsy and stuff. So, but they're ready to do all these procedures, and she unfortunately passed away at home. But it was in and out of the vet, in and out of procedures, medication, try this, try that. And here I am, just handing my credit card over every time, not even looking at the total, and then realizing like, I got to make a tough choice soon because I am spending a lot of money here that I have but don't have.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you have to pay all those costs up front because it's not like when you go to some human doctors and you come in, oh yeah, we'll bill your insurance and then we'll send you a bill after the insurance goes. It's not like that in the vet world. It's, hey, before services are rendered, we're going to need some kind of deposit or payment.
Exactly. And that really leads me to the next question about pet insurance. For someone that's adopting a pet, let's start with that first. You're getting ready to adopt a pet. When should they consider insurance? Before, obviously, it should be looking into it. I think that's a great idea. But when's the best time to get it? As soon as they get the pet home, it's right when they're filling it out, before they decide, or what's the best option here?
Oh, I love this question so much already. So as you mentioned in the beginning of the show, I am an accredited claims adjuster. I am currently working for a pet insurance company full time. And I have been so excited to talk more about pet insurance as I've advocated more for it. And I don't work in any kind of sales side. I don't make any kind of commission. I don't work in that side. I work strictly in the medical side of the claim world. But I advocate for it because I see how costly these vet bills can get. So the simple answer to your question is, when should you consider pet insurance? The day you bring home your puppy. And there's reasons for that. One, they have no pre-existing conditions.
True. And
pre-existing conditions in almost every pet insurance company out there will exclude anything that before the day you enrolled was brought up in a visit to the vet.
Okay.
So the day that you adopt a puppy, typically you have zero pre-existing conditions. And typically for the most of their puppyhood, they don't have a lot of things coming up unless they eat something, or it's typically pretty low at that point. Your premium is also going to be cheapest because they are the youngest and healthiest they will ever be.
Sure.
So the different things that go into premium cost are the pet's age, the area you live in, and the breed of dog they are. So if you have a mixed breed, it's going to be a little less of a premium than a purebred, simply because purebreds are more prone to certain illnesses. So you're almost
makes sense.
Yeah, you're almost putting aside money already when you have a specific breed. Like a boxer is very prone to mast cell tumors. So if you get a purebred boxer versus a boxer mix, your premium's going to be a little higher.
Like Great Danes with their stomach twisted.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So if the day you get a puppy, you should be looking at pet insurance. You should be looking at different companies. There's so many out there now, and there's a lot of great companies out there. I will be the first to say, 10 years ago when I was in the field, I was not a fan of pet insurance. I thought it was a little bit of a taboo and maybe not the best situation, but I've seen such a different shift in pet insurance. And now it's been so beneficial to so many patients of my hospital and patients I don't even ever see, but just see their medical records and their claim.
Yeah, I've seen actually some businesses offering it as a benefit for hire.
Exactly,
in addition with medical insurance.
That's been a great benefit.
Like you said earlier, pets have become part of the family. They even offer, I wish I would have stayed in pet sitting. They even offer pet sitting as a benefit too, that they reimburse people. I could have been charging a lot more.
Yeah, companies like MetLife, Nationwide, places that already offer other types of insurances have expanded to pet insurance.
That's crazy.
For that reason. And they've been able to partner with group benefits with an employer to provide their employees that benefit.
Now, you talked about expenses shifting as pets age, especially for senior pets. What are some of those things that come up as pets age that may be just routine, or some things that are like, they're not necessarily routine, but hey, this may be out there? Like, talk about cancer in a pet.
Okay.
More likely happening when they're older than younger. So, but not every pet's prone to it. But so give me some examples on, as pets age, some things that people should be looking for as a routine aging thing, and then kind of the next step out there thing?
Yeah, of course. So in dogs especially, and I think bigger dogs more than little dogs in most cases, arthritis is a very, very common progressive disease. And it can start with very subtle hints like bunny hopping, where they favor one leg and maybe
Mm,
just, it looks like they just had a little soft tissue injury. It can be walking a little bow-legged where they look like they're putting more effort in their hips and their legs. It can be having trouble getting up or going up and down stairs. It can be just in general pain when touched. And that can be some of the early subtle hints that maybe they're having a little bit of arthritic pain.
sure.
And typically, bigger dogs can start to develop this in their middle to geriatric years in their life. So it's good to start looking out for those things when they hit that 5 to 7 year old mark, because in a bigger dog, that is considered the start of their geriatric years versus a smaller dog, it's more towards the 8 to 10 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. So, is there things that people can do to help alleviate that when they're younger? I would imagine that we've seen sometimes in our experience, the smaller dogs that are on the bed, and then they jump down, and they're like, oh, they're young, they can still do it, but eventually that jump's going to hurt their hips. They're going to break something. They're going to twist something, tear something. Stairs seem like a great option from puppyhood on to kind of alleviate that. I mean, you can't stop the dog from jumping down or not, but are there things that people can do in the home, like I said, for example, the stairs part of it, that could help maybe prolong when some of this happens? Is there that, but also like second part of this question, and I'm sorry, food and things like that as well, nutrients and supplements that people could kind of mix in to kind of, okay, it's not going to happen at 8, it may happen at 10 or 11 when this starts to kick in.
Yeah, of course. So preventative measures are always so much easier to do than starting treatment. We always tell people it's better to prevent a disease than to have to start treating it.
Mm-hmm.
So in any dog at any age, a joint supplement is helpful, especially in little dogs when they have the medial luxating patellas where their kneecaps go in and out. And it's very common in small dogs.
Gosh, yeah.
It's a genetic condition. It's not something that develops over time, but does get worse over time. So in this situation, like you said, little dogs jump up and down on the bed. When they jump down, they're impacting their front limbs. And when they jump up, they're impacting their back limbs. So when they're taking an impact that heavy, they're really affecting their whole body. So you're right. Stairs are a great way to, I don't want to say eliminate the problem because they still have a little bit of a jump, but it does reduce the risk of injury. The problem is you have to train the dog to use the stairs because, as we all know, dogs get very excited, adrenaline starts going, they bypass the stairs completely, and they jump on the bed like a kangaroo.
That's right.
And my own family dog was guilty of that, and unfortunately, we had to surgically repair both of her knees later in life when she was older because her luxating patellas developed and worsened over time, as we knew they would. Unfortunately, she genetically just was not in the best position to have, good joint health, but we did prepare as much as we could. Joint supplements are great. There are plenty out there that are a powder, a chew, things you can add to food. There are prescription diets that you can start when dogs do start to develop mobility issues that target, joint inflammation. There's, of course, anti-inflammatories that you can start. There are injections like Adequan and Silencia that you can give to dogs and cats that help relieve arthritis. And that's been a very big development. There's also stem cell therapy that's becoming more popular and more researched. I actually just did an interview on this for the show. Pending FDA approval, there is a company that is pushing the stem cell therapy to not only reduce inflammation and take care of the symptoms, but it's actually rejuvenating the cells to reproduce healthy cells.
I know they do that in us. I might as well do it in pets too. It's crazy. And it's great you mentioned that the proactive versus reactive type of spending, because it's on the front side, it's like, oh, I got supplements, I got this, I got that. Doing it on the front end, it's going to save some money on the back end.
It is, absolutely.
When you have to go get that surgery done and you have to get a TPLO surgery and whatever, and it's like then you got to take off of work because you got to take care of the dog 24/7. It's a lot that goes into.
And same thing with, like you mentioned, a TPLO. A TPLO has a long recovery, requires a lot of bandage changing and watching the wound while it's healing, because healing in any orthopedic surgery is very, very important. They're very prone to getting infections, and that can cause a lot of problems. So you can have complications. You also need to be on joint supplements, more importantly, after surgery, because that dog is now going to not favor the other leg, but they're going to utilize other parts more while they're healing. So that impacts the other joints. So for the rest of their life, they're going to be on a joint supplement anyways after that surgery. So it's better to just start them early and delay any progression of disease as much as possible. Same with things like dental disease and dental tartar. It's a lot cheaper and easier to prevent the illness than to go into a vet and have to have a lot of teeth extracted because the tartar buildup was so bad that the tooth is dead.
Brush your dog's teeth, give them greenies.
Exactly. Give them greenies, play tug of war.
Oh, tug of war, really?
Tug of war with the greenie or the X-shaped bones. Because you're essentially brushing your dog's teeth when you play tug of war with them with those bones.
Huh, I did not know that. That's a great idea. What is one misconception people have about pet insurance versus vet costs? And maybe just explain to how pet insurance actually works. Is it something where you pay a copay, you get reimbursed? Like how's that all work?
Yeah. Typically with most pet insurance companies, you do pay your invoice at the time of service. You pay it in the full amount, and then you submit the invoice to your pet insurance company for reimbursement. They send you a check or direct deposit, depending on what you've picked as your preferred method. But only a handful, I believe only one or two insurances will directly pay the vet at the time of checkout. Okay. So in most cases, yes, you're paying your bill in full and then submitting for reimbursement. Sometimes that reimbursement can take a little while because they have to review medical records. They have to get all the information they need before they can say yes or no to a claim. Unfortunately, it's just like in people insurance, they have to be heavily reviewed because insurance laws have to follow insurance protocols.
Makes sense. And that's where you come in on the medical side.
That's where I come in. That's right. That's my job. And I'm pro for the pet. And that's what my entire team does is we review these high dollar claims and we get all the medical records we can. And we find a way to pay this pet's claim if we can. That's our job is we're for the pets. Yeah.
Because you don't want to look at a claim. It's like, oh, wow, this is a really high claim for a splinter removal. That seems kind of weird.
Exactly. And we want to be able to say, we cover this condition, not just today, but for the remainder of your pet's life. So that's the big decision in some of these claim outcomes is we're not only deciding the claim that you just submitted, we're also impacting the rest of your dog's life. As long as they're enrolled in their policy, they're going to keep getting benefits.
That's true. So if you are listening tonight and you're thinking, man, I really need a plan for moments like this, head to theprosperitylounge.com. Sign up for the free online community. There's some resources in there on how to check out your budget and then stop living paycheck to paycheck. Some free guides or courses in there too, which is amazing. Thank you guys so much for checking that out. Like I said, you'll find our free 8-step guide to stop living paycheck to paycheck, our prosperity planner budgeting tool, and the growing community of people like you who want freedom of not fear in their finances. But remember, freedom lives where faith and action meet. You got to take the steps. So prosperitylounge.com. And if you're watching us tonight for the first time, thank you. Please subscribe to the channel and leave me a good comment. I love that. All right, Samantha, let's get practical for a moment. Everyone here is thinking, okay, I love my dog, but I don't even know where to start with planning. What should they do first? What's something they should do as far as from a financial aspect, getting ready to have a pet? What are some things you would think they suggest?
Yeah, if it's your first time getting a pet, definitely do research on the breed first.
Okay.
Size is a very big thing when it comes to what size dog you're going to get because the bigger the dog, the more food you're going to have to buy, the higher dosage of flea and tick medications you'll have to buy.
Absolutely.
Those are things that people don't realize until their dog is growing. And then all of a sudden their Great Dane puppy that was 20 pounds is now 120 pounds. So there is things to consider based on what type of dog you want to get, the type of food you're going to feed, toys and enrichment, supplies, vet costs are a big one, especially in the first year of life. And statistically, going back to pet insurance, the first 1 to 2 years is typically the time that pet insurance gets used most often. Second is age 13 to 15. But first is actually that puppy year because puppies are rambunctious. They get into things.
Sure.
They eat things that they're not supposed to. And going back to that, training is a big investment that every puppy parent should get into with a basic manners course when they're young and at first adopted. And then actually at the 1 to 2 year mark, that's when they're fully grown. Their personality has developed. They come out. They're almost in that adolescent stage of life. And it's really important to continue training so that they don't become dogs with later behavioral issues. So investing in a good trainer is very important. So supplies, training, vet costs, and of course, having some kind of emergency fund.
And I would say if they're going to learn any command, one command that I would stress they learn is the hear or come command. You don't have to teach them to sit or roll over. You need to teach them to come when called. Because if they get off leash somewhere at a park, and they can get in some hassles, and we've had to deal with that before too. But yeah, definitely want them to come to you, because if they can get out into the street and get hit by a car or something like that, you want them to call.
Exactly.
One of the things you mentioned, I like to throw in there too, when you're just figuring out the size of your pet, essentially, is your housing needs may change. You're in a tiny 1-bedroom studio apartment with a small Great Dane puppy. Eventually, you're going to have to move, and that's going to be expensive.
Cars too. Is your car accommodated?
Cars, wow. Yeah. Can you fit them in there?
Exactly. Some cars actually come with the ramp now for your pets.
No kidding.
Yeah, you can pull the ramp down, and the pet can walk into the trunk. It's great.
Oh, that's awesome. I had a pickup truck. I put the cab and the covered cab when we used to do the dog walking, and I'd have to lift the dogs into it. So my back is killing me right now. So
mine too.
Yeah. So one thing I like to talk to clients about is putting a dedicated pet care line in their budget. And in that pet care line is the food. And I also tell them to fill in vet cost, fill in the unexpected, because you never know. We can always save that money and put it aside. So when you need it, it's there. I'd rather you have it and not use it than need it and don't have it. So definitely put that in. Definitely take into consideration when you're going to get a pet, the cost to it, because the last thing you want to do is feel guilty about not being able to provide enough because you didn't plan enough. All right. Boarding versus in-home care. This is where I get a little bit one-sided on things. I love the in-home care aspect. Don't get me wrong. Boarding is great, but I love the in-home care, and that's what we did. What are some of the I'll talk a little bit about the financials of it. What's some of the emotional trade-offs that you see, or the health trade-offs that you might see in that situation between, boarding a dog versus them in their home?
Certainly, stress level is probably the most, I would say, probably the top emotional aspect for a dog is some dogs just don't handle boarding well. Mm-hmm. They don't like new environments. Change is very concerning and does stress them out. And stress can lead to things like colitis, anxiety. It can lead to skin issues even because they stress, scratch and chew themselves. Mm-hmm. So really, I would say number one part about having an in-home pet sitter is your dog is in their environment. They're comfortable. They know where they are. They have their sense of where my food is, my water is, my toys, my bed. The smells are very familiar. And people do underestimate how important it is for dogs to have familiar smells. Their sense of smell is about 600 times stronger than ours. They rely on that. That's how they develop memories. That's how they rely on that for a sense of direction is smells. Mm-hmm. So when you go to a boarding facility, sometimes it's overwhelming for a dog because they have to adapt to the change. And if you're only gone for a little bit of time, they may not fully adapt to the new facility by the time you even come back from your vacation.
Makes sense. Yeah, we've always done in-home care, so we kind of stress that the dogs are a little calmer. They're in their own environment, stress-wise. Exactly. And I guess for health-wise too, there's less chance of, very little chance of getting any contagions, like you said. Mm-hmm. It's like kennel cough is a big thing that happens a lot of times. Kind of avoid that whole mess, and then you avoid a vet bill.
And some dogs thrive in a boarding facility. Some big playful dogs do love it.
Yeah.
So I think every dog is subjectively better in one environment versus the other. I do just see more benefit of having an in-home pet sitter.
Sure. And I guess, like with anybody, test your dog out, make sure they can handle it. And then if they handle it, go for it. Love it. Especially the daily stuff. That's amazing when they can go out and run around when you can't get there. Do you have any advice in your experience to finding trustworthy sitters or care providers?
I would say the biggest thing is have an interview in home with the person, see how they interact with your dog, make sure that there's some kind of connection between the pet sitter and your dog. Mm-hmm. Because if your dog is uneasy and uncomfortable, that may be a red flag that this is probably not the best sitter for this dog. But if the sitter comes in, they're instantly connecting with the dog, they recognize their body language, they can feed off of what the dog is feeling, then that's a great sign. That means your dog is going to trust the sitter. Your sitter is comfortable with your dog.
Yeah, and I'll take it I love that perspective, and I'm going to take it from the sitter side. You don't have to take every client that comes to you, because if you're in a situation, and this happened to us a few times, we go and meet the dog, and the dog just was not having it. Mm-hmm. They just, for some reason, didn't like me. I don't know what I did. I didn't do anything wrong. Everybody likes me, but this dog did not for some reason. And we looked at each other and we just said, yeah, I don't think this is going to work, because I just knew the stress that we were going to be under having to go to the house, and the stress the pet was going to be under while we were there. So we just had to pass on that one. So if you're a pet sitter out there, just my word of caution to you, you don't have to take everything. make sure you go and you're doing that pre-consultation, you're checking out the pet, making sure it's a good fit for you and for them, which is going to be very important.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, you want to provide peace of mind to your pet parent out there. And, if they're stressed on vacation, the dogs are going to feel it, the pets are going to feel it, you're going to be stressed, they're going to pick it up on it. And it's just not going to end well. So we talk a little bit about compassion play into leadership. So we're talking about what does caring for animals and managing people, you have to have compassion, especially in the vet space. I mean, you're dealing with the hospital situation. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, I'm wording this question very badly today. I apologize, but I want to learn a little bit about that aspect of it. You have to be very compassionate to do what you do.
Absolutely. Anyone who's in the vet field you're there for the animals, of course. It's not the highest paying field. It comes with a lot of burnout, fatigue, low pay, long nights. And yes, the compassion is what drives everybody to do this field. And not only do you have to have compassion for the pets, you have to have compassion for the people. And that's where some people may have a little misconception of, oh, all you do is work with animals. No, unfortunately, and fortunately, because I love my clients, but you do have to work with people. The pet owners are there the entire time the dog is there, unless they're being dropped off for a procedure. So you not only have to be cautious of the dog and their stress and anxiety, you also have to be communicative to the owner because they are the ones who are bringing the pet in. You're relying on them to give you a summary of what's going on with the pet. And you have to be respectful of that because clients get very sensitive when it comes to their pets. So if you're displaying body language that you're not listening to the client, they're going to pick up on that. They're going to feel uneasy about the situation. It's going to make them a little more stressed about their dog's visit, which they're already coming in pretty stressed about.
For sure.
So compassion goes down to, it's not just about compassion for the animal. That's a big piece of it, but it's compassion for the clients. It's compassion for your coworkers. It's being supportive for each other along the way because we have days that are really long and really tiring. And sometimes I need my coworkers more than I can explain. I've worked with people who have become family to me and I can lean on them and go to them for anything. I have a very supportive boss and management team that I feel like I can go to them for anything, which is really important. So compassion is full circle, respecting the pet, the patient, the client, each other, and yourself.
And I bet you don't mind if a client ever brings in some coffee and donuts every once in a while to the staff. I'm sure that goes over well.
A little treat here and there goes a long way.
What is a simple routine that pet owners can do and pet parents can do in family situations that can help reduce stress and maybe stay consistent with pet care? Sure. What's your number one go-to?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think walks are really important.
Oh.
It's kind of an underestimated thing, but going on walks for pets is really important. And it's important for us too. It helps with our health and our stress levels, but pets use that walk as a bonding opportunity. That is, you think about how excited a dog gets when they know it's time to go for a walk. They have been looking forward to that walk for hours. They're so excited. When you're on your walk, they're wagging their tail. They're happy. They get to smell things. And I would say it's underappreciated and probably a very simple, silly answer, but going on walks as much as possible with your dog. It's a great stress reducer. It's a great bonding experience. It's a great way for your dog to get socialized and get outside and get some air.
Now, I know for sure people that are listening live and people who are going to watch this back, when we talk about this segment, there's going to be some dogs in the room that are just going to go crazy because they heard the W
the W word. The WALK time.
They're going to spell it like kids. Man, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, one of the things that I hated about I didn't hate, I take that back, felt bad about in the pet sitting world was when you get a call from a client or a potential client, it's kind of last minute or they forgot to arrange care for their pet and now they're calling you last minute and you tell them the deal. Here's our rate. This is what we do. We would always for dogs go in, if we're not staying over in the house, we'd go in at least 2 to 3 times a day. And for cats, we go in at least once a day. And they would tell us, man, I have a cat, but they really just put a bunch of food down, come in every 3 or 4 days, it'd be fine. And I'm like, no, we come in every day. And the reason why a lot of them said it was because they couldn't afford the fee, which was minimal, but you're going away for 2 weeks out of the country on a high-end vacation, but you didn't budget enough money to take care of your cat. So that would always get me kind of angry a little bit. Like, again, putting that in the budget and making them top of mind that, these things are going to come up and you need to have a plan in place. I mean, just, you wouldn't want to leave your kid home for 3 days and have somebody check on them every so often, make sure they didn't tear the house up. Oh man. Okay. So we are getting close to the top of the hour. We are really running through this. So I want to get to what I call one of my favorite parts of the show, and that's our Q&A. We've got some questions that came in from the audience. We got some questions that came in the chat as well. We start with the chat questions first. We're talking about pet insurance. Let me go back here and find it real quick here. So do you have a recommendation on which pet insurance to go with? Probably can't mention that right now because of what you do, but maybe somebody can reach out to you directly and maybe ask that question.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to answer any questions about pet insurance. I won't be biased and mention my own company, but there are some great pet insurance companies out there. Just to name a few of them, I'll list some of my favorites.
Sure.
Personally, even before going into the insurance world. MetLife is a great insurance policy. Trupanion is, I believe, number one right now as far as enrollment numbers because they're worldwide. Nationwide is good. I do like them. Lemonade's a great pet insurance.
Huh.
Some of it actually depends less on the company and more of what you're looking for.
Sure.
Companies like Trupanion have no payout limits, so there's benefit to that if you have something that comes up that's a little more costly, but they do have a little higher premium. Companies like Nationwide and MetLife typically have lower premiums. They may have more exclusions though, and they may have a payout limit of some things. So it's just important to look at different insurance plans, get a call and a quote from companies, and just say, these are my priorities with my pet having pet insurance. What do you think is the best plan for me? Do you want something with wellness? Do you want something that's just accidents and illnesses? Which personally, I think is beneficial is to just have the accidents and illnesses policies because you can plan for the wellness things. You don't plan for the accidents and illnesses.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So I would say call around, do some shopping. Don't be afraid to ask as many questions as you can. They're there to help. Everyone who works, even in pet insurance world, wants to help the pets.
Sure. Perfect. Taylor from Knoxville wrote in, wow, we talked about this earlier, Taylor. You're going to have to go back and listen. When's the right time to get pet insurance, before adoption or after? And I'm going to answer that saying, as soon as you're in the car with the dog, signing the paperwork, you're on the phone. That would be my answer. Get it right away. Michael in Dallas wants to know, what's one new thing owners forget to budget for that ends up costing them later? Ooh, I'm going to let you answer this one. What's one thing that people don't think about when it comes to pet care? Is it that major medical stuff down the line?
I would say training and enrichment therapy. So people don't realize the cost of training. It does get quite costly to have a good trainer come in. And yes, you're right. The unexpected emergency vet bills are definitely, but I think training is an unexpected because that was personally my unexpected expense when I had younger dogs. I was like, oh, that's right. We have to do training. We have to do it consistently. We have to stay on it.
This is from Aaron in Savannah, wants to know, how can I find affordable emergency care without sacrificing quality?
That's a good question. There are other facilities besides the large 24-hour emergency clinics out there. There are the big specialty hospitals that are open 24 hours. And they're, I guess I would say, the big guys when it comes to cost. Anywhere that's at a university or a Blue Pearl, Fetch, those kinds of places, because they have board certified specialists on board. There are smaller places like urgent cares and walk-ins. Veterinary Emergency Group is a newer one that I would say are more walk-in style, just urgent care versus, it's like going to an urgent care versus a big general hospital for people. So there are smaller walk-in clinics that do after-hours care. Your own vet may do some kind of after-hours arrangements if you're established with a vet. So it's just important to kind of look around and know ahead of time, know the emergency hospitals in your area so that when the emergency happens, you know where to go. Have a magnet on the fridge, have the phone number saved in your phone so you can just call and say, hey, I'm on my way.
That's a good point. We're near University of Tennessee, Knoxville. So UT Veterinary School is where we ended up taking our cat for emergency after hours care. And they were great over there. So shout out to UT. Good question. Riley in Denver wanted to know if there are any nonprofit or local resources that help pet owners facing financial hardship.
There are actually. So there are a couple things that I recommend when it comes to financial hardships. One is Care Credit, and I would love your take on Care Credit and Scratch Pay as options. And it is a high interest payment credit card that you can get and use for medical expenses. there's benefit to using it. It does help your credit score when you pay it off in increments on time. There's also typically no interest on the first 6 to 12 months if you have a bill that's higher than a certain amount of money. So if you utilize it correctly, CareCredit can be a great way to put that expense aside for another day, but still pay your vet visit. As far as foundations, in my area, there's a foundation called Frankie's Friends that is kind of geared towards unexpected medical expenses, but they work directly with the hospital, not directly with clients.
Okay.
My own hospital uses an angel fund where people can actually add on $1, $5, $10 to their vet bill that day to go into an emergency fund for clients who come in unexpectedly and can't afford their bill. So we call it the angel fund because we can, we keep a stash of money that other clients have donated to the cause that, hey, $100 is coming off of your account because of this fund. So there are funds out there that can help with financial assistance.
That's like that, pay it forward kind of thing.
Exactly.
Starbucks line. I bought the coffee behind you. I love that. All right. Rapid fire round real quick here. We got a couple minutes to go here. First words that come to your mind. First answer.
All right.
First dog you ever loved.
Oh, poodle.
Best money you ever spent on a pet.
Ooh. Best money I've ever spent on a pet.
Mm-hmm.
Busy Bones.
Ooh. Favorite breed personality.
Doberman.
A dog behavior that reminds you of people.
When they smile.
And this is kind of a dog thing, not really. What does prosperity mean to you? I threw you off there.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Threw you off there with
you
the
did
dog
throw me off a
questions.
little bit there. When I think of prosperity, I just think of expanding love. So prosper, love, live long and prosper, I think is the cheesy quote that I'm going to use here. But
stock line there
exactly. So I just think of eternal love.
Love that. Samantha, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining us on the Prosperity Lounge, for reminding us that prosperity isn't just about profit. It's about purpose, preparation, and the love that leads us there. Sometimes the best teachers in life walk on 4 paws and leave prints. I'm going to hold on. I got to say this because this is going to go on a t-shirt. Sometimes the best teachers in life walk on 4 paws and leave prints on our hearts. You like that, don't you?
I love that.
To learn more about Samantha Spoto and her show, Tell Me About Your Dog, check the links in today's description and make sure you follow her journey online. She's on Spotify, she's on Instagram, and she's on YouTube. So that when you're watching this, you're done watching this here, go check out her show over there. Stay tuned for a future episode because I think you might see a familiar face, me, talking a little bit more about stuff we didn't get to talk about here. So yay. And don't forget, the Prosperity Lounge is now releasing new episodes every Wednesday night at 6. Join us in the live chat. It's a great fun opportunity. All the fun interviews from around the country we're doing, plus live every Friday at 6 here on YouTube and locally on the radio. If you're in Knoxville, it's 96.3. Thank you all for listening. Like I said, this week we're going to sit down. We sat down with Ambassador Fitzhaney to kick off the series on leadership, liberty, and living with purpose. But we love you all. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, everybody, stay faithful, stay fearless, and remember, freedom lives where faith and action meet. The lounge is always open, and so is your next breakthrough. This is the Prosperity Lounge. And I think Vance is still going. He doesn't think we're off the air yet. Well, thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Thank you, Sam, for being here.
Thank you all for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Great time. It was great.
I'd love to answer more questions if anyone has any.
Yeah, if there's any more in the chat here, we're still live for a little bit here on YouTube. If anybody's got any more questions for her, we're happy to do it. Or just here.
Still here for rapid fire.
Yeah. We'll hang out a minute or two longer, and then we're going to hang up. And then I'm going to go do her podcast. This is going to be some fun. I did have one other question that popped up somewhere. Here's one. What is one of the most unique and different professions that has to do with dogs?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think there's a lot of professions that people don't think about, like zoology, any kind of animal care in the pet world. What I do, working in insurance, and for toxicologists, Pet Poison Hotline utilizes veterinary professionals and dog lovers for their services. You don't actually have to be a veterinary professional to work at some of these places. You just have to love dogs.
And then copay insurance, do you recommend? I know we talked about a little bit about some companies have that or not. It's really finding the right product that's out there that maybe offer that? Is that something that is, if it's available, something that you would recommend?
I think it's less about the copay versus premium versus pay in full, and maybe more about the policy behind it, what's covered. Because even if you have a copay, if you have to end up paying the rest of the bill anyways, because none of it was covered,
Sure.
really, what was the benefit? That day you only had to pay a little bit, but you still end up having to pay a lot. So I think just researching the insurance policies and the companies behind them, make sure it's a reputable company. That is one big thing in the insurance world recently, is some of these companies that are smaller have not kept up with the inflation of the economy and the veterinary costs, and now they're suffering because of it. And I would really hate to see pets lose their coverage because of a company's downfall.
Sure, makes sense. And to answer your question earlier on the care credit situation, I would say, I'm a very anti-debt person. So getting credit is one of those things where I'm like, I really don't want you to do it. But if you couple it with the insurance,
yes,
and you're using the care credit to, okay, I can cover the bill, and 80%, 90%, whatever your copay is going to be covered when the bill goes through, the insurance comes back, and then get the check
then
back.
you pay off your care credit
and
card.
then you pay it off.
Mhm.
And I think that's a very smart way of utilizing it, because you will build some credit that way, and you will, and you pay your minimums while you're waiting for the check to come, and the check will come and pay off the rest. And then you have that kind of almost like a emergency fund already set up for it. Now, what gets people into trouble is they use it and they use it again and again and again, and they don't pay it off, and then they don't have the room, and then they get more, and then they get ding. So you got to be
That's
very
your
smart.
conversation. That's not my
Yeah.
conversation.
That's
That's
not
when
her
they go to you
conversation.
and say, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble
Uh-oh.
here."
My dog cost me this much
I
money.
just
What's going on?
fix the pet. You take care of people and their money issues.
You fix the pet, I fix the budget.
Exactly.
Oh man, so definitely using it as a tool. And I think that's a great idea to have it there. But again, you got to couple it with the insurance. I would never recommend care credit on its own, just because you're never going to be able to pay that off. Essentially, you're going to be wrapping it up over and over again. But knowing that there's a payout coming on the other side, granted, it may or may not occur depending on the claim situation, but there's always a possibility. And then being able to pay that off, and then giving yourself peace of mind that you didn't run up another credit card, so you can't eat this month, or God forbid, you have to think about the cost of keeping your pet around. I've seen that a lot of times in the hospital too, where the doctors come out and he's like, it's $1,000 to fix this, or it's $200 to put him down. And it's like, here's the $200 because I can't afford it.
And to piggyback off what you said, don't be afraid to ask family and friends for help. I personally have done that. And in the vet world, I work in the vet field, and there came a point where I had to start a GoFundMe and say, hey, I need help. And I had to swallow my pride and say, this feels weird of me to ask, but I could use help, and I will repay the favor one day and pay it forward. But for now, my cat needs a $7,000 surgery, and any assistance will help. Even I had friends give me $5. I had friends give me $100, and in some way, shape, or form, you pay back the favor.
Yeah, exactly.
But I tell people that in the emergency world all the time, when they were like, I don't know where I'm gonna get this money. I'm like, call family, call friends.
Mm-hmm.
Someone will help you with your dog.
Especially with pets. I always help with pets and children.
Yeah. Now your purchase of your new TV, don't call me for help on that. I'm not going to give you $5 towards that.
Go fund me for a Mercedes or something, like, fund my vacation to Hawaii.
Don't take out a loan for your vacation. I know that much about the finance world.
There you go. Yes, we learned something good today. Good takeaway. All right, thank you all again. It's a little bonus session here, so thank you again, Samantha, for hanging out and after hours. Yeah, we did the pre-show, the show, the after-hours show.
All the shows.
Exactly. So we're going to go wrap up and then get ready to go film your episode with me, where I'm going to be on your show.
It's time for my show.
Absolutely. So I get to answer questions now. It's going to be weird for me.
It's my turn to ask.
Oh, man. All right. Take care, everybody. Notes will be in the description. Actually, they're in there now. If you want to go check out and see where you can watch any of Samantha's previous episodes. There's some great ones there. Definitely check out the last one on the drone technology. It was really, really good. So thanks to Noxy Knox in the chat. Thanks to Ryan and Jessica Strunk in the chat. Thanks to my favorite Prosperity Lounge #1 fan in the chat. Thank you so much. Thanks to my mom, who's always in the chat.
Thanks to my parents. I think you're also watching.
Yeah, everybody's here. Thank you so much for checking us out. We still got a bunch of people in here, and I hate to hang up on everybody, but they're here. till next time, everybody, we'll see you guys on Wednesday in the premiere chat. And then next Friday, same bat time, same bat channel. I always like to tell people, if it's a trend now, what time does the Prosperity Lounge air? 6-7. I'm going to kill that. That's my job, is to kill that trend.
I think this is where I exit.
6-7. All right. Good night, everybody.